great to be back with you this morning. I've been deliberately quiet. Yeah, as quiet as I can possibly be since I came out of my holiday, the retreat that I had looked forward to for a while. I would have preferred that it wasn't in a prison, but it pleases God. And I'm thankful to God for the time spent in prison, So I have acquired a new title. I was going to say Senior 11 of Nigeria, SEN. Until a dear friend of mine, divinely inspired, showed me that, no, how can you call yourself 11? Nobody convicted you. I said, but I went to prison. He said, no, you went to prison, but you are not imprisoned. So you are not 11. So he suggested to me, why not call yourself Senior Accused of Nigeria? So now I'm an SAN. When next you see me, or they are writing my name, please be mindful of the fact that I, formerly known simply as Dele Farotimi, occasional madman, previously 11, you can now call me graciously Dele Farotimi, SAN, Senior Accused of Nigeria. So welcome to this morning's show. Yes, it's a show, and the show must go on. So here is what we'll do. I told myself that I hold too many of you an unrepayable debt of gratitude. Too many of you. Look, one of the chief.
This is the most powerful prayer to attract money. Don't skip this video. God wants to speak to you. He has chosen.
Drum bangers for my freedom is my dear brother and friend, David. I spoke with David, I think, the day after I came out of my seclusion, and I promised him I was going to call him back that day, and I haven't managed to do so. And meanwhile, he was supposed to be telling me about several other people that I'm supposed to be calling because of everything so many of you did. Truth of the matter is, you are the best. Nigerians, fantastic human beings. You guys are the very best. And I'll find a way to build these around the sermon that I have assigned myself this morning. Let's get something clear. I was going to title this, Thank You, Debt of Gratitude. I ran out of superlatives with which to either title this or to describe the whole lot of you. I even went ahead, I wrote my outline as usual because I didn't want to be derailed. And I was convinced that this is what I was going to be speaking to this morning, although I eventually titled it The Road to Freedom. Is that what we called it? Now, I can't really remember, but I believe that is what it was. Is it The Walk to Freedom? Whatever. The key thing is, I had one message planned, and it was planned, I believe, with my own carnality, and I'm as carnal as any one of you. I'm completely human with all of my hybrises and everything, and I've had 21 days to prepare for what I believe will be the next stage in the battle, that the war, because I knew that that stage had already been won. But let me quickly say this. Thank you. I thank you. I thank each and every one of you. I am deeply, deeply grateful for what you all did. The calls to my family, the amazing show of support. And it's easy for me to speak with specificity to certain persons. I could say, for instance, that Mr. Peter Obi came to the prison to see me. I should say and say thanks to him for that. And then there is my brother, Yele Showore. Not only did he call my family, like he called them, he mobilized the AAC and the Revolution Now movement behind the demand for my release. My legal team, led by Mr. Lumide Fusika, fantastic people. Then there is Professor Emiri He lost his wife and he just lost his mother as well. In the midst of his grief, he found the grace to show up in court, argued my bail application before the Federal High Court in Ado Ekiti, even though I was only told the day before, I only informed them the day before. They all rushed to Ado Ekiti to ensure that I had legal representation. Fantastic human being. All kind of people, small and great, however you great human being in your own reckoning, traditional rulers sending chiefs. My hometown, I've spent more time in front of you guys than I have spent in my hometown. But the Owa of my town sent a delegation, okay? Everybody, the show of support across the entire strata of our society is humbling. It was humbling in the extreme. And I need all of you, whether I've mentioned, do I want to talk about Gigabyte in Ekiti, the Revolution Now coordinator in Ekiti, and his team, all kind of human beings that I can't even remember to mention their name as I speak with you. The Ado Ekiti prison practically became a tourist center. Big, small, everybody, people showed up. And I was being told constantly of the loud demands that you lot were making for my release. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all. And I must say, in all humility, that you are the ones who came out of prison. It wasn't me. You came out of prison. You found your voices. You demanded that the right thing be done. Consistently, you made sure that I knew I wasn't walking alone. Your voices strengthened me because I heard you even beyond the walls of the prison. I heard you loud and clear. You left nobody in any doubt as to what you were demanding. It wasn't about Dele Farotimi, even though I was the one who bore your totem. It was essentially a demand by each and every one of you that the law must be allowed to rule in the situation. Now, let me be very clear. I retired from the practice of law when I turned 50. My next birthday, I'll be 57. I'm no longer a young man. I practiced that law conscientiously for at least 2 decades.
For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government...
I am a lawyer, not just because I was trained as one, but because I am by nature one. I'm a Yoruba man. In my culture, it says, Ejola Ako, Baba Enikonke Koja. I am not a fool. When the magistrate spoke, the learned magistrate was very specific in the order that he gave. And even though I did not believe at the time, and I still do not believe that there was any need for that order to have been made, what he said was clear. I may not speak to the press or even to you about the case pending in his court. That was the extent of his order. I am a lawyer. The matter is sub judice, and I certainly cannot, whether he had made the order or not, I wouldn't have spoken to the case in the court. And I certainly do not intend to. There is absolutely no need to speak to any of the cases before the court. They are irrelevant to the future. And me and you, we need to focus on the future. So let us be clear. Assuming that the magistrate had made any such order, I would have been under a duty as a human being, even if I may not be a citizen, to disobey that order. But I thank God that the magistrate, erudite magistrate, intelligent and very, 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 very fair, firm, and just, gave only one order, the only order he could have given in the circumstances. I may not speak to the case before his court, and I do not have any such intention. So anyone who has misconstrued that order to suggest that I am somehow gagged by somebody, there is no such law by which any magistrate or judge may gag me as a human being, even if I may not be a citizen, as long as I am not a slave. And if I have become a slave in the Nigerian state, it will be interesting to watch such an order come from any court, presuming or purporting to be a court of law. No such order was given. So enough said on that one. I have deliberately kept quiet before today, largely because you left me spellbound. I've been humbled. I'm not a man easily given to humility, but you have humbled me by what you have done before, particularly after my abduction. And I use the word deliberately. I was never arrested. I was abducted. We will talk about that at some other point. But let's be clear. Nobody silences the bell. I may not be silenced. I've merely started talking. So let's go to today's issue. So I want us to talk about the road to freedom. And
Located in historic Wesley Hall on the downtown University of Winnipeg campus, the Collegiate offers the best of both worlds for students in grades 9 to 12.
There goes the note. I need to speak to you from the heart and from my spirit. The note I prepared was for a different sermon, but as we were waiting, I began to download something, yes, exactly the same, but subtly different. So the Yorubas have a scripture, and that scripture says very clearly, Emu, Eki, Biteran Reko. I'll translate for you or interpret. Grab it. Catch it. You do not catch the porcupine in the same manner as the rabbit. Let me explain that to you. If you're familiar with the porcupine, you will know of the quills on its back, with which it largely impales stupid predators. Even lions steer clear of the porcupine. As small as it is, its entire body made of quills would kill a lion if it would dare. Now, when that proverb came to my head in the course of this entire ordeal, I made the stupid error of thinking that I was the porcupine and that those who were coming after me were the unwary predator. But I received some sense this morning. Or let me just say, as I have digested the extent and the range of support that I have found since I came out of prison. And I realized that I am not the porcupine. It's not me. I'm just as harmless and defenseless as any of the other rabbits in this space. You will remember that for a long time, I have argued that the Nigerian is not a citizen. I even went as far as to have labeled myself for years as the patriot of an unborn nation. And then I believe on my Twitter feed, you find me labeling myself a victim of Nigeria. And I have multiple times spoken to the victimhood of the Nigerian people. I have lamented for years that what truly assails the Nigerian is the complete absence of the rule of law in our country, and how this has left all of us defenseless and as praise in what has become a country of pain. I have spoken to you about this for years, I spoke to you about it, that we are all victims, that we have all become as victims in the country that we have managed to build. I told you how we were all running away. I told you how we were all running away from Nigeria because we have built an intolerable country unfit for human habitation. I have called it the evil empire. I have called it the evil empire. I've spoken to the fact that because of what we have all collectively tolerated, we have lost our country and we have become as slaves in the country that we have all built. And we are all to blame. It was the idiot standing behind pulpits as I'm speaking with you, preaching injustice and lies to the people and helping them to normalize the madness that has overtaken all of us. I said this for years. So I am just as much a victim as each and every one of you. These are the first tears I have shed since my friend Ogunlanu died. I'm not given to tears, and I'm sorry. See, back to the issue. We all built this. We made this mess together, and it will take all of us to resolve the mess that we have made. It will take all of us. Without all of us functioning as one, the way you found the grace to function as one in the last month, you all acted as one. It wasn't about being Christian, being Muslim. They divided us along too many lines. Damn! We stopped being human because we became Nigerians. They divided us and we fell for it. Because you wouldn't see me as a Yoruba man, you spoke for me. Because you wouldn't see me as a Christian, you spoke for me. Because you spoke. Because you spoke. Because you spoke.
Do you live in Manitoba? Then watch this. This month only, we are looking for 150 people in Manitoba interested in improving their hearing. Now you can take a free hearing test with no obligation. Plus you can get the latest, most advanced hearing aid to try out for free. Just click the blue Learn More button and answer 3 simple questions to see if you qualify. Then our experts will organize everything.
Because you spoke, Nigeria couldn't happen to me. Because you spoke. The only reason Nigeria couldn't happen to me is because you spoke. You spoke. That is why Nigeria couldn't happen to me. And yeah, Nigeria couldn't happen to me. Eki, Biten record. You found your voices. I became you. And in our collective, you couldn't be silenced. And I could not be silenced. So it wasn't me that became the porcupine. It was you, the Nigerian citizens, that became the porcupine. So here is what we're going to do. First question I need you to ask yourself is this. How many of the people feeling the pains of the Nigerian state in detention or in prison deserve to be where they are? There's multiple people that I met in prison, and I will yet speak to my prison experience. But I assure you, I didn't shed a single tear. I was happy for the free accommodation. I didn't like the food and I didn't have to eat it. So I'm not talking about me in some pity form. I went to prison and I view it as a finishing school. It showed me exactly how ugly our country is. But because we have so many high-profile cases, or because the internet has brought this home to all of us, let's talk about Naomi, the former queen. Let's talk about Hamzat Oriyomi and the proprietors of that school in Ibadan. Exactly what is it that they have done that has earned them the need to be in prison? We should ask that question, but not because of them, but because of the many other persons without names that you and I have no knowledge of who are languishing in prison. Have you thought about that? If they would do that with those ones, what are they doing with those that nobody knows? They did it to me. You made it you. And because you made it you, they couldn't do it to me. Because our collective, acting together as one, turned the tide. The tide turned because we acted as one. Some Bulabas spoke for me. Obedience spoke for me. My brother in the Revolution Now movement, all of them spoke for me. Traditional rulers, you all spoke, and because you all spoke, I couldn't be treated the way each and every one of the other persons who do not deserve to be in prison were treated. The system resisted. I spent 21 days in captivity. 21 days. For those of you who are inclined to the spiritual, you understand the significance of 21 days. It pleased God that I should be kept in captivity for 21 days. The full cycle of a woman, the full cycle of Mother Nature. 21 days I was kept.
What's up?
Hi, Jira. We brought you here today to let you know that we made...
There are some stories to be told on other days. There is a long walk to freedom, but it could also be a short walk. It depends on each and every one of us. But the one thing that has become very clear to me, is that whatever we are going to get, we're going to have to act as one. We cannot continue to divide ourselves the way we've been horribly divided. We've got to act in concert, and in acting in concert, we should be able to achieve better results. Yorubas have this proverb. They say, it simply means that if the reptiles, snakes, would act together in concert, then they will not die the way they die, since they rarely ever walk in pairs. We are the ones who have divided ourselves. My current travels, no, not travels, there is no traveling anything. Let me just say my current experiences or my past experiences, in my own candid opinion, highlights the need why we all have to act in concert. We need to agree what our own enlightened selfish interests might be. And I assure you, there are multiple interests, because there is nothing that afflicts one part of this country that does not afflict the other. There is nothing that afflicts me that I didn't see afflicting multiple others that I saw in prison. And I know of multiple cases on a day-to-day basis in Nigeria where the totality of the flaw or the completion of everything is found in the knowledge that the Nigerian is not a citizen. The struggle ahead of us is the one where we must demand to be citizens. Those of you who desire separate homelands, you are only going to get that when you become citizens. Unfortunately or fortunately for all of us, we are trapped in this monstrosity that is called Nigeria. If we are going to ever come out of the monstrosity, whether that be as different nations or whether that be as one, it would be because we found the courage to become citizens in the space we are occupying today, forget the contrived differences between us, and then ensure that as citizens, we exercise our free sovereign will to do with Nigeria, our home country today, as we care. So those of you who desire Odua Republic or you're desiring Biafra, that's fine. But let's first of all become citizens here. And then we may, as citizens, exercising our sovereign will, have referendums where you can decide democratically, if these homelands should be created. That should be our clear thoughts right now, how to become citizens. You do not become citizens in a place unruled by law. So the struggle ahead of us is to insist on the rule of law in the country in which we live. There are many struggles ahead. I will be seeking legal reliefs and redress against everyone involved in my abduction. I shall be defending each and every one of the many suits, civil and criminal, that have been filed against me, rigorously.
This is how AI optimizes my schedule. This meeting got canceled. Hooray! We didn't really.
When we are done, I shall myself be writing petitions to the LPDC, looking to ensure that some lawyers do not ever practice law in this country again. Let us be clear. I remain your brother. I remain you, Dele Farotimi, Esquire, S.A.N., Senior Accused of Nigeria, victim of Nigeria, but a conscious victim, capable of articulating the conditions of the victim. I am not a victim again. I am a threat. That's what my brother always says. So, kolo Somagalon ni mo jẹ fún yín. Mi ò ṣe jẹ, kò sí ǹtẹ́ lè fi mí ṣe. Mi ò dẹ̀ ní kó lọ́rùn yín. Tolerate me ni o. As long as we have to continue pretending that we're a democracy, you're gonna just have to tolerate me, okay? All right, guys. That's for you all. There isn't much more to say than to say thanks. For those who merely posted free Dele Farotimi, for those who stepped on the streets in Ekiti, Tanko Yunusa. Yeah, Tanko, thanks. Yeah. Sarah Ibrahim, thanks. 1,000,001 of you. Oh, yes, Ekinzo, my Ekiti brother. Those who I cannot even name in this moment. I thank you all. You deserve all the applause. You all stepped up. Like I was telling my brother Yele when we were talking, each and every person played the part that had been assigned to them of God, or they betrayed it. And each person knew exactly what they did. I thank Yele for his amazing support. Brother Peter Obi, Davi, I thank you all. And see you next week. You do not recall a bullet when it is fired. I cannot be silenced. See ya. Bye-bye.
Well, greetings, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Man, this video, I teared up. Oh, I'm not even going to lie. When the man broke down and started crying, I didn't even know when the drops, when the tears started flowing. From all the moments I'm not able to cry when I talk about the issues of Nigeria. But the only thing I'm going to add, I hope that the message inside this video that Dele Farotimi, his Sunday sermon, I hope that it has reached your heart and your soul. And I hope you can look yourself in the mirror and really speak the truth to yourself and decide if you really want to maintain your ancestral home, what do I need to do? Like he rightly said, we all came together as a voice to stand on free Dele Farotimi, and they listened. If it wasn't for all of us, we don't know what would have become of the man. We know how the Nigerian government is. It is very notorious for when they pick up someone, it is forever. Okay? So our voices are powerful. If it doesn't teach you any other lesson, if you don't take anything away from this, take the fact that in coming together as a unifying force, that's the only way we can fight these demons. We cannot fight them any other way. I am sure that everybody is now clear. Those that felt that, oh yeah, it is our brother that is there. You are now paying attention to the division that he's driving further in to make sure that he keeps you conquered. Right? So it's up to us as Nigerians to decide whether we want to remain silent or whether we want to keep talking. I've already chosen my path and I'm doing my own part in all of this. I'm doing my own part in all of this. So the question is, what are you doing? Are you going to, if you're for those of you that are divided, that are saying, oh, this person is this, so I'm not going to fight for this person. The only way you're going to get your own autonomous community is when we all come together to fight the common enemy and then decide to part ways. It's as simple as that. There's no other way around it. Unless you want to keep spilling blood, which in any case is going to be on everybody's head. The Nigerian government is doing things in your name, whether you like it or not. So it's up to you to choose where do you want to stand in all of this? Are we going to come together just like we spoke for Dele Farotimi and speak as one voice and say enough is enough? Right? Now, what I've observed lately is that the northern leaders, the northerners, when Buhari was there, we hardly heard them speak. Okay? Now that he's no longer there, now that Tinubu, and I'm not on T-Pain's side or not, because they're all demons to me, right? They're all now exposing all the deals that the man has and all of that. You see that whichever way you want to turn this, whether the northerners are fine now calling out because they want their brother Shetima to take over, I don't know what their plan is. But if this does not, it's now up to Nigerians to decide whether they want to continue to be pawns in all of this their play. Because the northern elites that are coming out and crying foul, when Buhari was doing, it was Buhari that started this crazy tribalism of putting his own people in position of power. Now that it is T-Pain's turn and he's doing the exact thing, even worse, he has even perfected what Buhari has done. They are crying. I want them to cry. I want them to continue to cry as the people come together. The people are the ones that are important to me in all of this. Because the people that came together and called for free Dele Farotimi, they were from every corner of Nigeria, from the north, from the south, from the east, from the west. Okay? So we need to encourage that more and have people come and speak for the unity of the people so we can fight these demons out of there, so you can have access to your ancestral home. Jagun, welcome or greetings. So you have the floor now.
Good day. Thank you so much for showing that clip. I'm not sure of the time where you are. If you saw that I sent that on board, just for everyone to have a look at. I'm glad that you sent it. It was very emotional, and I've never seen him in that way. So it was pretty shocking. As I was listening earlier this morning, I was listening with my face away from the screen. And then I kind of heard him kind of sobbing. I thought, no. I thought maybe he was just blowing his nose or something. And then when I turned and saw him crying, I was quite astonished, but fully in the understanding of why somebody would break at such a point. And I did wonder what it meant to everyone who saw that. I'm here to ask us a very, very serious question. Because I think we Nigerians, so-called, we don't think straight. We don't think straight, which is why we're in a mess that we're in, as underlined by Dele Farotimi and many of us who are able to stand back and really have a look at what Nigeria looks like, how ugly the country is, how ugly our country people are. I'm not sure that we're fully aware. So my serious question is, at this stage where we know that there are many differences between us in our thinking, is Biafra, I have to ask it, really have to ask, is Biafra, is it a division? Is it divisive? Or is it something that's bringing us together? I need to ask that question. And I need answers. I can state my own position, but I just want to be open and ask questions. I don't know who may be out there listening and wants to come on board and answer, or speak to it. Or I put it to you, Omoye, my dear sister. What are your thoughts as to what somebody like Farotimi is saying, and indeed what Biafra stands out to be? I would speak after you, or I will just carry on if you don't necessarily.
So to answer your question, number one, it's not
Okay.
just Biafrans that are agitating. I have to put that out there. There's also the
It's not,
Odua.
madam, please. It is not the agitation I'm speaking about. It is Biafra and what has come out to be said from those people who are at the head of such a thing called Biafra. I need to speak to you specifically to that. Forget about everything else.
No, Mr. Jagun, please, you can't just cut me off like that. So I have to
No, I didn't
answer
cut
the
you off.
question.
You can answer it in okay.
1 second, please. 1 second.
Okay, continue.
I have to speak my own thoughts and also opinion, and I have to be clear also for the sake of my audience.
Be ready for my reply.
Okay, so here's the thing. That's okay. You can respond. That's why we're here. My response to that question is to, first of all, point out that it's not only Biafra that's agitating, for lack of better words, or fighting to be on their own. As far as I know, I'm not a Biafran, but as the little information or the limited information I have is that it initially started off as being, that's after, I don't know if it was during Ojuku's time or whatever time, it started off as being wanting to, come together as the entire South, because then it wasn't Southeast, it was East and then South and then West and then Lagos and the North, right? So it started off being agitating for the secession of the South and the East completely. But of course, the other people, the South, the Niger Delta people, they were not all in agreement with all of that. So I think this was during Nnamdi Kanu's time. Nnamdi Kanu decided, okay, let me focus on my own people. If I can set them free, then that's fair enough. So I think that the core, and I could be wrong, and if somebody knows better, please come up and respond. The core of what Biafra stands for is for every group to be on their own. That's what I think. I could be wrong. Okay? My own call, I don't want to point to any specific group of people. I am pointing and calling out all Nigerians. I don't care where you're from. From Dele Farotimi's message, look yourself in the mirror and decide this tribal division, this religious division, how has it helped us? Has it moved us forward? Because pointing the finger and saying, oh, this group of people I really want to know, no, when the others are pointing right at me. Because I know there are people in my own group that are also agitating. Their voices may not be as loud, but they're also agitating. Every corner of Nigeria, everybody wants to go their separate ways because they feel severely marginalized. So I don't want us to be directing any specific question to any group. I want us to direct the question to individuals in the contraption, for lack of better words again, called Nigeria. What are you going to do? Look yourself in the mirror and decide, do I want to come together and fight to get these demons out so I can have my own place? Or do I want to continue in this contraption and live a less than, I don't know what adjective to qualify it, a less than human life in that contraption.
Indeed. Good. Okay. I've heard you, and I really do understand you. And whilst I'm here speaking to you and I'm directing nothing at you. This is a conversation that we're having, and a serious one at that. My take on Biafra is that it is doing more harm than good. I'm not speaking about the agitation in itself. I'm not speaking about the suffering that any corner of Nigeria is going through. I'm speaking about the level of similarity to what Nigeria is that Biafra is. They're just too similar in their oppressive mode. Those people who are at the top that I've witnessed and seen and understood, they are the most divisive people outside of Nigeria in terms of the Nigerian government, the Nigerian state. They behave in exactly the same way, which is to pull in people who do not belong to anything called Biafra. Biafra, as I said, is the same name as Nigeria, which is to say it was not them that gave themselves that name. The name Biafra comes from Biafra, which is a Portuguese name, another European concept, just like Nigeria, in one. Two, the way I look at the particular Igbo sect, and I am not against any Igbo before someone starts talking complete rubbish. We love to speak rubbish because we can't hear common sense. Fair enough. Me, I'm not afraid of anybody. So I'm going to put it to everybody that the way those Igbos of the Biafra, as they put it, are depicting themselves as the greatest of all Nigerians, they are always boasting, very boastful bunch. And I listen to them and I think, are we not all suffering? Is it only you? I don't understand it. And I'm not going to pretend for anybody. I'm not here to pretend. I'm not going to, oh, yes, they're doing this. No. Oduduwa that has raised his head and said that they want to separate. For me, I'm a Yoruba person. You understand? I am not looking to separate and splice up Nigeria. Why? Because I believe that the smaller we are, the weaker we are. As Dele has cried tears from a man who said himself, I'm not becoming of tears, but he's come to this point that we are not standing up as individuals. Somebody put in the comment section that Dele has a big mouth. And when I looked at that, I understood where the person was coming from. But I looked at it upon, no, he hasn't got a big mouth. It's we that have small mouths. It's we who are afraid to speak up. I don't like rubbish. You see, we can't go to this war that we're going at and entertain rubbish. We can't do it. We have to call things out as they are. If we don't do that, we're not going anywhere, or we're just going to repeat the same mistakes. We need a clean nation. We need a refreshing of the mind. We don't need copying of nonsense. And I'm afraid Biafra is a copy of the Nigerian nonsense. That's the way I put it, and that's the way I see it. I would like someone else to come and say what they think, but I'm quite. You see, I've been watching Biafra. I was born in the days of Biafra. That's when I was born, and I was in Nigeria at the time. I was in Saple when I remember aircraft flying overhead and bombing. I remember the stench of dead bodies. I remember seeing dead bodies. 3-4 years old, I was seeing all these things, and it's etched in my mind. You understand? I'm not here mucking around. I'm here asking serious questions, and I need serious people to answer. I don't need flim-flam people. I don't need people who just want to speak their mouth and say, "Oh, everything. We're all friends." We're not all friends. There's a problem in that country, and the problem is based on oppression. And anyone who feels that they are in the position to oppress, that is what they do. Firstly, it is the Nigerian state who is this oppressive thing. Next is the North, the core North that has been stupefied into being oppressive. And then we have the same thing under the Biafra complex. I don't know how else to put it. That's how I see it. And I would love someone to combat me on these levels. Don't write rubbish. Come and speak to me. Come and speak, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. If we're supposed to stand up as individuals, which we're supposed to do, we'll take Nigeria back. We'll take it back. But we don't stand up as individuals. What we do, we hide under the umbrella of the tent that others put up for us to go and hide under. But we are not men or women who are standing with our own voice, with our own agency, with our own sovereignty. We're not doing that. That is why we are not citizens of that country, because we don't do it as individuals. We always do this thing as a stupor of a collective. The other day, I was speaking to a cousin of mine, and I think I've said it again. I've asked him not to talk to me again. I've asked him, don't come and talk to me if you're just going to be talking rubbish. If you're not going to count yourself as part of the guilty. You are part of the guilty. You are part of it. Did my cousin speaking nonsense to me, which is to say that he doesn't care which way Nigeria goes. He doesn't give a damn. All he gives a damn about is himself, the money he's able to put in his pocket, and how he's able to easily fly out of the country anytime the shit hits the fan. If the shit hits the fan for him, he's off. He's off. And that's the constitution of the general Nigerian. Cowards. We can't pretend hell. Me, I'm not pretending with any single person. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to pretend that Biafra is not nonsensical. I'm not going to pretend that Biafra is not selfish. I'm not going to pretend that Biafra is not even a geographical mass. What it is a claimant position where we claim and claim and claim what is not ours. That is what I conclude. I had to come up and ask that question. I don't know how you see it.
I mean, that's okay. It's your opinion, and you've asked the question to anybody who wants to, counter what you're saying or has a different thought. Feel free to come in. I'm not going to be here for long, but if you feel like what Mr. Jagun has said is a trigger in any way, come up, because we have a nation to save. Like I said before, emotions are not going to help us. The only emotion you should be having is the type of emotion that Dele Farotimi expressed.
Indeed.
For the country, for the good of the country. Now, I'm not saying that nobody can go there separate. You heard what he said. Come together. That's the only way we're going to win. I don't care how you slice and dice this.
I agree. I agree with you. You must understand where I'm coming from. I'm talking about the antecedents.
Sorry, what happened? Did you hear
sorry.
me?
Your last word was I don't know how we're going to slice and dice this, but the only way we can go forward is with what Dele Farotimi is saying. That's kind
Yeah,
of where you ended.
exactly. So let me just wrap this up, and then you can just come in, right?
Sure,
The only
sure.
way we can, that's the only way. The only
Mm,
emotion you should be having is the type of emotion that Dele Farotimi is having
mm,
for the common. Because the truth is, when we all come together, we don't have to. If you say, okay, you want to go your separate ways, to me, I don't. That's fine. I believe everybody should go and thrive on their own. To be honest, when I say thrive, okay, everybody can decide they want to go and profit off of the resources that their land provides to them, and give
mm,
a percentage to the central and make the central weak. I'm open to
mm,
that.
mm,
But and I also believe that together we're stronger,
mm.
divided we're not. Because if we're
Indeed.
small, if we splinter off to smaller groups, it will be easy. Because we have to realize too what a lot of us Nigerians, that are agitating, whether you're an Oduduwa person or Biafra or Niger Delta or South, whatever group is out there, is that the moment you go and stay on your own, you make it easy for them to defeat you completely.
Mm,
But when we're together, you're going to have a diversity of opinions. You're going to get a lot of pushback from different corners. But if we keep divided and we keep fighting back and forth, they throw religion. Whoa, I'm Christian, I'm not Muslim. Meanwhile, there's a big fish. France already has its base. They can deny
yes.
it all they want.
Mm,
They can deny it, or we know how the Nigerian government plays. They will
mm,
deny until when it's now obvious to everybody. They are now planting actors to tell you, oh, we live near to the place, we don't see anything. Is a lie. There is a bigger enemy in your at your backyard waiting for the
mm.
right moment to strike. And you're
And
busy being divided on your religion, on tribe, on all those sentiments. Everybody needs to go and talk to themselves. Like I said, in the mirror, ask yourself the question: is it worth it for you to lose your ancestral home, lose everything that makes you who you are, because you want to prove that, oh, yeah, I want to be on my own? I don't know, because you might end up losing everything in the process.
you will,
Go
you will.
ahead.
I mean, let me come in. You see, there's so much agreement that I have with what you've just said. Firstly, mine is that country called Nigeria, the whole of that South should be one. It should be one. It should be one clean economic zone. It should be one clean, how can I put it, community of peoples. Why I say that? Because we have never identified ourselves as an area. Yet the whole of the North is clear, and they even claimed the whole of the Midwest to be on their own people. Now, I'm saying that the South should be one based on power, based on the power that we have to redirect that country. But it doesn't seem to matter if we have somebody from the Southeast, the South, or the Southwest in power. They act as individuals. They act for an individual area, or that's the way it seems. And then there's the great middle belt that are, again, of many different ethnicities that they want to be led, actually. And then there's the North, which is totally oppressed by the Fulani. That's the country that's the makeup of that country. So whilst we're divided like this, and the North seem to have the position of power, the position of collectiveness, whether it's forced or they collectively agree under their Islam. It's where the actual power of the country is. So we are playing their game in that whole of the South. We are divided between East and West and South. And it doesn't make sense to me that the South hasn't had the maturity to be one group. If we can prove that we are one group, then we can prove that Nigeria should exist. If we can't, truly, we should go our separate ways. And I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that we should go our separate ways. Because when I think about Nigeria, we are here, all of us in the diaspora. We know what's going on in our individual countries that we have reside in. The Oyimbos, as you put it correctly, are waiting for the opportunity to just enter again. Because why? Their economies are more or less over, but they do have sway of power. They still have a great deal to play for in the global authority on the planet. So they where are they going to get this new economy from? Because their economy is busted. Where are they going to get this new economy from? I tell you where they're going to get it from. They're going to get it from Africa. Now, without Nigeria standing in the way, they will achieve their goals. They will achieve their goals. But you see, because we are so deep in our own nonsense, we can't even think about the strategy our enemies are playing. We can't even come to the point of understanding the geopolitics that's really playing out in this world. In that West Africa of ours, the people who have woken up are Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. Nigeria is there playing against them. What the hell is that? What's going on? How can Nigeria be so governmentally stupid? I won't even say naive. They're stupid. It's stupidity. I just can't believe the way we play this game. We're not playing this game like men. We're playing this game like children. And we continue to do it because we're too afraid to speak the truth. Dele Farotimi is one of the only, to be honest. He's one of the only. I don't know, maybe the people that really do stand up in that country, we can count them on one hand. Everyone else is a damn fool, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, Jagu, you know, I have a different outlook on the people that are speaking up. And to the person that left a comment earlier saying that Dele Farotimi has a big mouth, we all need to have bigger mouths. That's what that is saying.
That's
The
what, yes.
reason why, and you said it, you nailed it when you said that. The reason why he has a big mouth is because our mouths are too small. Because if we're all loud, guess what? What has Dele Farotimi said? He has not said anything different from the likes of Gani Farahimi. He hasn't said anything quite different. However, even though Fela, it was hard for Fela to speak, even in those days, in a nutshell, a summary, he hasn't said anything quite different from what Fela has been echoing, even from the grave.
Of course.
So the point is, that's why my own call to action is, and with regards to the handful of people that are speaking up now, the handful of people that are speaking up in Nigeria, that our voices are very loud, our duty to them is to make sure we watch them like hawks and protect them, because they have influence over a lot of us, a lot of people, okay, that look up to them and are waiting patiently for whatever move. So their power now, for those who have the voice and have the influence and are beginning to grow that influence, is to make sure you continue to educate and revolutionize the minds of the people. That's the work that they have. So yes, even though it's a handful of people, but they have a lot of power in their hands. Now is the time for them to use that power, right, together, because they should use it as a rallying call from the north, the loud noise from the north, from the south, from the east, from all over Nigeria, and find ways to actually use their voices with one message to unify everyone that wants a new Nigeria. I'm telling you, 2023, if anybody had told me that the election, when Peter B was, just nobody really quite, I didn't know him and all, people were talking about him, I didn't know which way it was going to go. First, I was new in the Nigerian election and all of that, getting to know him and all of that. You see the message of Peter B, you see the way it spread across. People didn't know him. There were people coming on and saying, nothing can happen. Nobody's going to vote for an Igbo man. This one, that one, the West is not going to vote. The South is not going to vote. The this is not going to vote. There were people knocking him at all angles. But what happened? With a single message of him going and doing the work, just imagine what just one person could achieve. So this is why I'm saying, even though, yes, we have a handful of activists, What we should, those of us who have access to these people, should be calling them to be, pushing the message to let them know that they need to come together now. And I'm sure they're doing that. I'm sure they're going to start working towards that and push a message that's going to unify everyone. Showore's group, for instance, they have a group in the north, they have a group in the west, they have a group in the south, they have a group in the east. Showore, they have a group in the east. Revolution Now, or is it Take Back Night? They have it everywhere. So when all of them, the Showores, the Dele Farotimi, the northern, what's that journalist? Is it Gal Mohammed? I forget this young man as a journalist that works in China as a teacher.
Okay.
He comes together, and some of the activists in Yunusa Tanko and the other guy that works with Peter Obi close, I forget his name. Those ones that are interested come together. I'm telling you, it will change. It can't change. And there's something Dele Farotimi said. He said, we have a lot on our hands, but it can happen now. We are capable of making it happen now if the people want to. That's what he said.
He's right.
And he's right. So this is why, for me, and I said it, I think a week ago or so, the message now for me is about unifying. I don't care where you're standing on. It's not, because we don't need, and I'm just speaking generally, we don't need any words of division amongst us. We don't need any words that's going to alienate anyone. We can talk about differences. We can point out some areas that we think doesn't make sense that we can work on. We can do all of that, right? But we must ensure that while we're doing that, we're coming from a place of respect and passion to save all of us so that we can all move forward.
I agree.
This is my own rallying call.
No.
So for me, it's not. I don't want.
Your position is correct. Your position is accurate. You said something about us agreeing or coming to agreement and not alienating anybody, and you are correct. I agree with you, but I am still looking at the whole country and how messed up it actually is, how deep the darkness is, what the fight is in front of us in order to come together. Kenne has just written it, that the West has been compromised because of Islam. And whilst I would want to rail against him, that is another position. That is another position of our separation. The Yorubas are between Christianity, Islam, and animism, as they put it. Now, within these three regions, we as a group, we live together regardless. However, because of this Islam, there could be a way that the West is indeed compromised, that we have a compromising position, that somebody dares to say that there should be Sharia law in the West. What kind of rubbish is that? Now, we know that these people are playing games with us, but the thing is, these games are effective. These games have to be nullified. If we are not really looking at the things that are giving us these divisions, whilst we want to come together, these things are going to raise their ugly head to the point where where we have to now look at them. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything away from, if Nigeria didn't have certain of the positions that they have, that they have, this thing would be easy. Because one, I won't be raising them. I wouldn't be the person talking the way I'm talking. I'm speaking the way I'm speaking because I know how relative these positions are in the hearts and minds of people. And I know why. The frustration in Nigeria is deep. It's so deep that anything other than Nigeria, somebody's willing to go for it. So if I come to Nigeria now and I have enough money behind me, I can just start speaking one nonsense. And I would have 1 million followers. I would have 1 million followers, which is breaking up the polity. You see, I keep saying it. If we're not ready to get in the room with the devil, if we're not ready to do that, we're not doing anything. We're not going to, and there are many devils that are beguiling Nigeria from succeeding. Many. And whilst you may feel that me and you are coming from different positions, we're not. The only thing I'm saying is that, look, these things are bloody serious. X, Y, and Z needs to be taken care of. And what I mean by taking care of, I don't mean that we go to war with them or anything like that. I mean, intellectually, we have to sit down and talk this thing out. Intellectually, we have to do it. You know, there are many great Igbos. I've got nothing. Igbos constitute the largest friendship group I have. Igbos are my brothers. I've grown up with them. I don't have a problem. I know who they are. I know exactly who they are. Just like they have a great understanding of who Yorubas are. The only thing is, because of one-upmanship, we have this contest within each other. Put the contest down. Let's look eye to eye and let us come to the middle of the ground. Let us come to the middle of the ground. Let us not do this thing where we're stabbing each other in the back. Let us not do that, because that's what we're doing. I'm not going to pretend that it's not there. Are you going to pretend it's not there?
Okay, are you asking me a question? Pretend that.
Yeah, are you going to pretend, or is anybody going to pretend that there is not this enmity between the West and the East? The enmity between the West and the East have given the gap for the whole Midwestern region, the whole South, as it's now called. They've given enmity for them to just decimate all those people there. But if you're from there yourself, me, I spend a lot of time in Delta. You understand? I know how polluted that whole place is. People are having polio when polio has been stricken from the 20th century. It's still there in Nigeria, or it's returned to Nigeria because of the illness. We don't even understand the bedevilment of that country. We don't understand it. We're here in the West talking, but we haven't got a clue. If you lithium right now is a big deal in Nigeria. It's a big deal. The only thing is, major companies aren't really in there doing the industrial work that it needs to do. Instead, what's happening is 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds are there digging out toxic lithium from the ground with their hands. That's what's going on in that country. Dying within 5 years of intoxifying themselves under the direction of some elder chief somewhere in some village. That's what's going on. We're killing ourselves there on a daily basis. Now, look, I'm not here just to spread bad news. I prefer the good news. I really do. However, this is the lay of the land. The lay of the land is that there is something called Biafra that is bedeviling the East. There is something called Islam that's bedeviling the whole country, really. There is something called mineral wealth that is corrupting every soul in that nation. Are we going to pretend that this is not happening? I can't take it like that. I can't take it like that.
I don't think, personally, I think there's an enmity between, it's obvious. I don't think anybody can deny that. I don't think anybody can deny, unless they don't want to tell themselves the truth. We see it. It plays out every single time. But to what Kenny just said, which is what I'm holding on to, right? You're saying and calling out what you see and have observed. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You know, like you said, we're all saying the same thing, but you have somewhat of an extra outlook that I am not, I'm not focusing on. Okay. So according to what Dele said, they use this because they already know it exists. You see how widely known it is? They weaponize it. That's what they did in the last election. That ethnicity, that tribal difference, that tribal sentiment has always been there. The politicians, to show you how much they knew, they said, okay, we're going to use this and weaponize it for our own good, to keep the people divided. Because the more divided they are, the more it profits us. So the players on both sides, on every side, should realize that and say, hey, these people are playing us, right? Because they're playing us, we have to make sure we put our differences aside for the common good. That's just what it is.
That's what I've said.
That's what you said.
That's what I've said. I mean, really, it's not that I'm against what I've just said to you, that I agree completely with what you're saying. I agree, and I even like your take that we shouldn't give this thing any airspace, as it were. And that's, I suppose, where the slight issue is between our points of view. You know, I'm putting to you that there are these things. You're correct in saying that they're obvious. I don't think we should let them fly. I think we should bring ourselves to the table. I really think we should really bring ourselves to the table. All those people that really like Biafra, and I'm not against Biafra in terms of what they're truly the truth of what they're agitating for, which is to say, look, this Nigeria thing is not working. I want to go away. I completely understand that frustration. But when it goes to an extra point, now a conversation needs to be had by the people of that region, by the people of the whole South. Because the people of the South is really, I think politically, is where the real question marks are. Because why? Because everything that is a problem in that country pertains in the South. Even this Islamic thing, it pertains in the South. That's where Islam run by the Fulani is the Islam that is taking us all to the point of serious division. It's the Islam.
When you sorry, Jagun, when you say the South, what are you? Because are you saying the West?
I'm saying the whole of the. I'm saying the whole of the. There's Southwest, South, and Southeast. We're all in the South.
Okay. Okay.
So
All right. I just wanted to. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. So in that, because we have everything that is going on in that whole of Nigeria, if we down in that South region, we are the most populous region. I don't care what they want to say about the North. We are the most populous region. If we don't put that table, square it up, set it for every ethnicity that is there, and have this tough conversation, I don't think we're doing much. I don't think we're doing much. The power of that country is in the South, but we're not taking hold of it because we want to separate from each other. Because we say, yeah, those people are over there. Those. I mean, the left. Sometimes I listen to us, and when I say us, I mean all of us. I'm not separating myself as a Yoruba person that we are this or that. No, because within my own Yoruba entity, I hear so much rubbish. So I don't want anyone thinking that I'm a tribalist or any kind of thing like this. We all have to call ourselves out so that we are clear in that, you know what, there is a majority of us who are sane and thinking clearly and understand the way forward and have the heart of our brother with us. That is it. If we're not doing that, I don't believe we're doing anything. I believe that we will repeat the same mistakes. Nigeria is basically 60 years of repetitive mistakes. That's what it is. You can go back as far as you want. It's the same bullshit that we've always been dealing with to this point. Why? Because we sweep everything under the carpet. That's why. Because we pretend that it's not there. Because we're not looking at the issue. It's not, for me, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I don't understand it.
I mean, everything you're saying, I can't even, there's nothing to fault there. It is the truth. And I think that it's in being very honest with ourselves that we get to the answer of, okay, let's now come together.
Yes.
And push for the common good of all. And then we can decide from there. Do you understand?
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense, because the truth is, as much as everybody wants to divide themselves and wants to be in their own little world, we're all the same. We are all the same in that country.
Indeed,
we're all the same. That's just the truth. Do you understand? So I hear what you're saying, and that's, for me, that's what I think every one of us should be doing in however way they can do it. Anyone who's listening, this is what needs to be happening. We cannot continue like this. You're not winning. I'm not winning. We're all not winning.
Imagine.
The South is the powerhouse. That's where all the money is. That's where
Yes,
they're
Lord.
taking all the oil from. That's where they're taking all the resources from. We're feeding the entire nation. People are leeching off of us. We're feeding outside, we're feeding within. It makes no sense. If we can come together
But we are
as
not being fed.
we're not being fed, we're being and
Imagine.
guess what? Show you how powerful we are. We go outside of ourselves to make things happen
Mm,
and
mm.
still continue to feed.
Imagine.
Make it make sense, right? So if we understand that that's the power we have as the entire South, to hell with West, to hell with South. There's nothing even like South in
Well,
geography, right?
well,
Forget about South, forget about Southwest. Let's all come together and unify as the South
correct.
and fight these people. I
Correct.
guarantee you, they will have nowhere to hide. They will run.
This little conversation, I beg your pardon, this little conversation that we've just had, me and you have probably said it 1,000 times, but for me, it is now kind of crystallized that we should start setting this table. The table that says the South, the table that calls the East, calls the South, calls the West, and let us sit down and begin this conversation for real, because we have to understand where our power base truly is. We can't go on in this separate course. We can't, and really want Nigeria to be one. We have to set that table. Honestly, that's why I'm happy for these kinds of. I'm a confrontational person. In order to reach some level of agreement, I'm not an easy person. I'm confrontational for these reasons specifically, because whilst we may be close to agreeing, we're not in agreement until we bring these hardcore questions to bear. Once we bring them to bear and we have these hardcore conversations, then we know what the next step is, because it's very difficult to fathom the next step. Right now, in this conversation, I have seen clearly that the crystallization of our conversation says that we need to set this table up called the South. Let us all take our position there. Let us have this conversation. Let us find where the agreement is. If there is power, if there's agreement, then there's a power-based block to work from. You understand? That power-based block now can become a agitation movement for all of us. It could become a political movement for the whole country. It can become a power base for the whole Black world. If we're serious, because we've got questions to answer. We can't just leave them open-ended. I can't leave it open-ended. Because I'm too long in the tooth. I'm too old. I've been watching this film for, I won't reveal my age, but for more than 50 years. That's how long I've been watching the film called Nigeria. I've seen it all play out time and time again. I've been asking my elders questions, my parents, my uncles, my grandfathers, my great grand uncles and such. I've been asking them. No one's come with an answer. We, our generation, have to come with the answers, have to come with the solvency, have to come with the solution. We can't put all this nonsense, rubbish, shit, I beg your pardon, back on to the generation that is coming up, our children. We can't do it, because that's what's been done in the last 400 years, as far as Black people are concerned. All what's happened is that the weight from what we are suffering just goes on to the next generation. That's how we've been playing the game. There's no point in pretend. I can't. When me coming online and opening my face and my voice to the general public, it's never been my want, or my scheme. I'm not here for fame and food. I'm not here for that. The only reason why I come and bring my voice is because I've been looking at this for the longest time, and I have history in my head. I know my culture, and I know what the hell is going on in that country. And I'm not going to pretend about any of it for anybody's satisfaction. Because what needs to be satisfied is that we understand what power is, because we understand the alternative to power is our own destruction.
That's right. That's true. That's absolutely correct. The alternative to our own having control, being in control of our affairs, is extinction. That's true. And you know, what people are not understanding is this whole tribe that you're protecting. If you don't fight the right fight, your tribe will cease to exist. With the way things are going in Nigeria, how many people in Kaduna did this man slaughter? Eh? How many people in the middle belt are no longer original to that soil?
My
How
goodness.
many? We know because okay, now they're wanting to bring Sharia to the West. If they succeed in bringing Sharia to the West, forget, you think your corner there will be safe. Forget it. It's just a matter of time because you don't have power. You don't have control over your affairs. So they will dictate how it goes. I saw somebody in this conversation where they're talking about bringing Sharia to the West and all of that. Some northerner, I don't know, he came and he said, no matter what you do, it's going to happen. Okay? You guys can resist all you want, it's going to happen. With such confidence. Yeah, and it's not time for South people to say, hell to the no, no. Let's all come together and resist all of. Let them go and do their Sharia
That's
in
right. That's right.
their 5 or
That's
4 states that
right.
they have. The Middle Belt is
Absolutely.
already carving out themselves. The Middle Belt is standing up and saying, "No, we're not part of you people." Have we ever had a TV all the different tribes in the Middle Belt? Have they ever been governor in our state? No. Do you understand? So I think I'm gonna schedule a live and call it a name and title it let me see, the unification of the South.
Yes, Lord.
Can the South unify to
Table of
fight
power.
this, to take
Well,
over power?
table of
And
power. Now you
sorry,
table of power. Now
aha,
you we can say or more.
exactly. So I'm going to schedule that live at some point during the week. And everybody that has any, please, we need to start having real conversations and push.
Yes.
We don't have time. We really can make this happen
Yes.
tomorrow if we wanted
Yes,
to.
Lord. Yes,
If we're
Lord.
unified enough, tomorrow, if tomorrow too far, tonight. If it depends on how it hits you. No, seriously, it depends on how it hits you. You just people, your followers for street say no, we don't want again.
Mm.
After all, you've been killing us. How many of us are left? If you want to rule over ashes, then so be it.
Now you.
Once that happens, you see the support from everywhere come through. That's the
I think
funny thing.
so. I think so. I
Eh?
really,
Because we
really
can't
think
keep,
so.
we're all miserable. Think about, we're all miserable.
Imagine. Now, let
Eh?
me put this to you very quickly. Imagine. The oil in Nigeria. It is more than they say it is. That's one. I will tell you. Two. Um. Do you think that whole Niger Delta region, that is where the oil is coming from? Do you think there will be such pollution, such theft, such rubbish if the Yoruba and the Igbo were truly together? Would have protected all that space, would have protected it from the multinationals, would have protected it from the greedy northerners who don't care because that's not their land. They don't care. All they want is the money from that arena. They don't care about anything else. They are the people who own that land differently. Do you think if the Yoruba and Igbos were protecting that whole South, that any of that rubbish could happen? Let's be serious. It can't happen.
So here's the thing: the Yoruba and the Igbo are not the only people that make up the South.
No,
We need to
they are
bust.
the majority.
I get the point, but we have to. What
No,
part of what
you
I?
see what I'm trying to say. Well, forgive me. I'm not taking anything away from any other people. I'm saying that we don't love each other enough.
I,
So
I
much so that
right.
the place is. If I don't know when last you were in Baesa. I don't know when last you traveled by road.
I get it. My point is this, Jagun.
Okay.
I get that we don't have the love. We've already established that, right? And that's what we're trying to bring ourselves together. I am
Mm,
saying because it's not just you, by the way. This is something I hear all over. If the Yorubas and the Igbos, if the Yorubas, you are forgetting. Within that South, we have people from the what's it called? The Urobo people, the Shekiri people, because we're used to excluding when we're having conversations.
I'm not excluding them. What I'm doing, I'm saying, wait, listen. Oh, what I'm doing is saying that the major issues, no matter what issues are in that Midwestern region between the Efik, the Robo, the Shekiri, the Edo, who all of them, I know them, they're right next to me there. I'm from Ondo State. I know them very well. The thing is, what I am saying is that it is the fault. It is the distinct fault of the Yoruba and Igbo and miscommunication that is giving rise to killing those people there. That's what I'm saying. And I need it to be understood like that.
Okay, that's very clear. Okay, that's okay. No problem. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So all that's I appreciate this tough conversation that me and you are having. As much as we agree, there was that small space that we were coming from slightly different arenas, and I really do appreciate where you're coming from. And I think you have come to the understanding of where I'm coming from. And with that, we should indeed set up communication where we in the South are having a serious conversation. And we are saying to ourselves that, look, let's put everything on the table. Let's put everything as we put everything on the table, what we are going to do to sign up to this thing, we are going to agree, and we are now going to be sending out this document to the likes of Shore, who already know, to the likes of Dele Farotimi, who already know, to let them know that, listen, as individuals or in this whole South areas, we're standing behind you people. And we don't know who we're going to present as the real leader of our movement, so to speak. But those of you who have already raised your head above the parapet, willing to get your head blown off, so to speak, we are saying that all of our heads are in the same position. We have risen our heads. That's what we have to do. Because if there's a power base that is reared as an agreement from the whole of the southern territory in that country, Nigeria has to panic. It has to panic, because it'll be very easy for us to entertain the middle belt into our climes. That will be the next step. Then it's just the north. Then we will sit down to them face to face and speak about this Sharia nonsense that what they want to bring to the table. Speak about all the theft and rubbish that they're doing in that reign. And then they will call out the people who have really been doing it. They will call them out. We have to flush out this devil. We have to flush it out. And the flushing starts from the South. First, we'll flush out our own devils that we know that they're bringing in philosophies that don't make any sense. That they should, I want to swear, they should F off with their idiotic philosophy. We're not buying it anymore. We're too long in the truth. We've suffered too much. There is not one of our family who hasn't suffered from all this idiotic rhetoric. There's not one of our family. If I start bringing my own story, everyone will start crying. But wait, then the next man will bring his own story. Then the next woman, then the next. All of us will bring our own horror stories out. There's not one of us who hasn't suffered. Are we doing suffering Olympics? Is that what we're doing here? I suffered more than you. So the right is, will you go away with your nonsense? I'm not here to play. I'm not here to play. I need Nigeria's resurrection. I need Nigeria's truth. I need Nigeria's strength for the good of our people, for the good of humanity. Simple. Simple.
Well said, Jagun. The passion behind your voice, I'm sure people are listening and are relating, and it's resonating with them. I need you guys to please share the video. And if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to a round number, 4,000 subscribers. Okay.
By when? By when?
Before the end of the year.
Okay. Before the end of this year.
Yes, before the end of this year. It's doable. It's like
It is
60,
doable.
60 people. So yeah, I'm gonna
It's
run
doable.
there's a time I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep because we're gonna talk about the plans for next year, where we want to take the channel to, what
Mm,
conversations you want us to continue to have here,
mm,
how we need to approach, the concerns that we have in Nigeria, how to push it even further, and all of that. So I really need the numbers. And I know that because I have a day job, so I can't be as consistent as I want to be, but I try, right?
I do. I agree. I understand.
Yeah, which is why I do most of my lives after my day, and then I at least get in a couple of hours regarding these issues. So I'm planning to even do much more and do it at certain times where I know I can get other people involved. When I mean get other people involved, so it can reach other people during specific times during the day. So we'll
Mm,
see how that happens, but we're still gonna keep our, late night shows as well. But even if it's coming out an hour during the day, just to keep pushing the message, because we really need to ramp up. And
mm.
like Dele Farotimi said, if we want to see change, it can happen right now. But it all depends on us. It all truly depends on us. And I'm liking the direction this conversation is going, which is prompted the next conversation, which is
Mm.
the South. um what did we say that we're going to title it again? I have to make a note of it.
Yes, pen and papers are always very good when our
Yeah,
conversations begin. You said many things, but I think it should be called the table of power,
the
the
table of,
southern table of power. Yes, just the even fact the table of power is enough. We begin in the south, and it's
yeah,
going to be progressive. It's going to be very
right.
progressive.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
gonna set it up. Okay, I'm gonna set it up. I've already made a note of it because we can't keep doing this. People are at risk of losing their identity. When you lose your identity, you don't have anything left. Oh.
Up it on now.
You don't have
Finish.
anything left. A lot of Nigeria is colonizing the world. It's because you have an identity and you have a culture.
Imagine this is the
Eh?
deepest thing. This is why we should know how powerful we are. You know, when I've been in the UK since the 60s, and from the 60s to the early 80s, so 1980 something, every year we'll go back to Nigeria. So I've always been in touch. I was born in Nigeria, came here, lived amongst these people here in a multi diaspora community. Sorry, in a foreign climate anyway. As far as I'm concerned, I've never ever called myself British per se. Even though I come British for me is like a club where it allows me to travel anywhere in the world because I get the passport or more. And so I see I'm. However, if anyone asks me where I'm from, then Nigeria, I come say I'm from Nigeria. So having said this, that's my background. So, in understanding that in the West, environmentally, Nigerians just fly. There are some of us who have difficulties, no doubt, but sometimes through those difficulties, you just see them flower. They'll be here suffering for 10, 20 years. They'll be suffering, trying to work hard, trying to do this, don't have the money, trying to make things meet. By the time they have their Pekin and their Pekin come of age, the thing don't flower with that all. There's money, there's leverage, there's money in the bank. I've bought and sweated over my house, and then my children are first grade graduates, and they are blossoming in any industry in the world. That's what goes on with Nigerians all over the world. Now, the fact of the matter is, it's not going on plentifully enough in Nigeria itself. If Nigeria is an environment that is conducive, bruh, we will just be flying. We will fly and make that whole West Africa great.
Yeah, that's what
It-
the people who know us, who have been with our ancestors longer than us, that know us, they know our power. That's what they're
Mm,
afraid of. And that's why
mm,
they always try and do everything to keep us down. Now,
correct.
George Uwegbe, welcome, George Uwegbe. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. He shared something, Jaguar, I think he directed it to you. He says, I can't see any sense in what you're saying. In one breath, you criticize Biafra agitation, and in another, you denounce Nigeria and what it stands for. What's your position?
I've told you my position. If you want to be complicated by this thing called Biafra, It's completely up to you. I've said to you already, my friend George, I've said to you that Nigeria and Biafra are the same exact thing. Why? Because they are largely exclusivine positions. Nigeria is only for the elite. It's not for me and you. Biafra is not for those people that want to say that they are Biafran. It's largely about an Igbo conquest, which is exactly the same thing as what Nigeria is what I'm putting to you, sir. Now, what I am saying is that I have no difference between my Igbo brothers. What I do feel is that we in the South should come together. If you're listening at all, and if you are not putting this thing called Biafra in your face to the point that you can't see anything else, if that's your position, fair enough. I understand people like you. You understand? I understand you. If you don't understand me, so it's okay. It's okay that you don't understand me, my friend.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jagun. I'm gonna have to call it a day because I have other things that I need to take care of. But we're
Sure.
going to continue this conversation. This has been a brilliant one, by the way. Thank you for being a part of being on the panel.
Thank you,
And
Michael.
I'm gonna schedule one for what day? Tomorrow is Monday, so I'm gonna schedule one tomorrow, probably early hours of the morning. But we'll see. I've already put in the details. I'm gonna schedule it as soon as this life is done. But I want to thank everyone that joined. Kenneth, thank you very much. Dixon, George, thank you. If you have not yet subscribed, please do subscribe, share, like the video. And this is it. So let you have the last say with regards to us coming together as a people. Jagun, I'm gonna give you time to speak to the heart of Nigerians, right, with regards to this fight we have in front of us, especially with your focus on the South. And we're gonna pick up that conversation in another live, and then I'm gonna wrap up the show. So you have the floor now.
Beautiful. I thank you. I thank you very much, Omoye, for being rather flexible and being rather on point on so many issues that concern us as Nigerian people. I think it's high time that most of the people out there who have platforms like yours to really come to the table, not with rhetoric, but with the real passion of their heart and the real consciousness of their mind. And I feel that 2025 brings in another opportunity, God-given year. God-given year is what we pray, that we should really be conscious. We should be prepared to change our minds. We should be prepared to adjust for the betterment of our future. If we can use next year, especially the first half of next year, to be conscious, cognizant of what our real problem is, we have a chance of winning. If we fall into the normal enmity, I don't like you, I don't like them, don't trust this one, don't trust that one. If we fall into that myopic game, then I fear that we haven't seen the wood for the trees. One tree does not make a forest. We have to stand up as our individual trees, as our different trees. There are many different trees in the forest that give off much different fruit that are for our edification. If we are taking this thing seriously, then we will feed each other. If we're ready to feed each other, we will be healthy and great enough to take over. We will reforest that whole country. And that's the way I would like to end it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jagun. Very well said. Quite poignant and to the point. Thank you so much
I
for
mean,
your contribution. Indeed, today has actually been very, very impactful. Thank you for your contribution. I don't take it for granted. I do hope that everyone who listened to you really felt that and will take up the work, the personal work of looking yourself in the mirror and deciding what you want. Do you want to lose your identity because of pride, because of, oh, I have to do it on my own? Or do you want to come together as a group so that you can preserve your culture and your identity that is now being admired? If I dare say, it's been admired for centuries,
mm,
but now it's now gotten global recognition. Okay, every corner you go to, they say, oh, Nigerians are colonizing the world. Nigerians are colonizing the world with their food, their art, their language. We guys, we have something big in Nigeria. I think that because we're so glorious in our nature, we don't see, we can't stand outside of ourselves and really see the greatness and the glorious state, the glorious people that we are. We're too busy bickering with each other, competition. I'm bigger than you. I'm top than you. I'm this than you. I'm wealthier than you. My tribe is better than your tribe. This and that. We need to stop all of this. We need to borrow ourselves sense. Since we have useless leaders, worthless ones, from the traditional leaders to the pastors to the politicians, to your councillor, your vice, your local government chairman, leaders in every corner of Nigeria, since we have them all worthless, shouldn't we now borrow ourselves sense, those of us that have the sense, and give other people sense as well?
Yes, sir.
I beg of you people. Now beg, I feel beg. Now mouth when I get now I tell they talk. This is what I can do. So please, whatever differences you have, put it aside. Put your pride aside. Put your emotions aside. Check your emotions. If you can't put it aside, check your emotions. We really have a heritage to preserve. I don't know about you. I'm proud of where I come from. I'm proud of my heritage.
I mean,
I am also proud of the fact that I have access to every corner of Nigeria. I grew up in Ibadan, for instance. So I can boldly say I'm an Ibadan girl.
yes, indeed.
So please, my people, I grew up with, my Eastern brothers and sisters. Okay? We used to shop in Onitsha market for Christmas. We have work to do, and we have a country to save. The South is where the power is. If the South can unify and stop doing, I know book past you, I'm richer than you, I guarantee you, we will be bigger than where we are today. And everybody will have the opportunity to thrive. Now go home with the question and ask yourselves in the mirror when you wake up, or if you have time now. So, Jagun, Mr. Jagun, thank you so much. I
I
really
thank you so
appreciate
much,
it.
Omoye.
Thank you. Absolutely. So we'll see again on the next live. And
Can you just take a quick look before we cut off at the private chat so you
okay.
understand that? Yeah, just a quick
Okay,
one.
I'll do that now. Thank
Thank you.
you. Yeah. So my people, thank you for joining me. Kene, my village brother of life. Kene, I really appreciate you. Kene, you've been so supportive from day one. Honestly, I don't even know how to thank you, but I just want to thank you again. Okay.
Yes.
Don't say it's too much, Kene, because I can't stop thanking you. You're always there, always very, consistent. I can't, silver and gold have I none, but what I have, I will give to you.
I mean,
My
yeah.
village brother. Thank you. George, thank you. I've never seen you before, but thank you for stopping by. Dixon, my brother, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Everyone that was able to join, I thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you on my next live. Bye.
Take care.
Mhm.